Ladies and gents, welcome to CG Reaction, and this is What If the British Empire United Today by the channel RealLifeLore. Yeah, British Empire. So I guess he's going to talk about every single colony that British acquired in the past, including United States, India, obviously Australia, Canada, and lots of other African and colony. Basically, British Empire was quarter of the world at one point. That is the largest empire that ever existed, bigger than any other. So yeah, what if they united? I don't know, man. I mean, basically it would be one of the real big powers, but yeah, it might be powerful enough to topple anything, but I don't know. I guess we'll see. Since this is real life lore video, there's a chance there could be checkered box here, because sometimes the real life lore video gets blocked in some places like United States, and that's one of the major area where my videos gets viewed. So yeah, there might be a checkered box here and might not be. So yeah, if you like my reaction, don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out other reaction I did. There's a link in the description with all of my videos. Check out the cards for the playlist. Check out the end cards, I guess. And yeah, let's watch this one.
The British Empire was the largest empire to have ever existed in all of human history. At the territorial height of the empire in 1921, after victory in the First World War, the empire spanned 35,500,000 square kilometers with a population of 413 million people, 23% of the world population at the time. The empire was so large then that it would have taken up 94% of the entire surface area of the moon. So every time that you look up at night and see the half of the moon that's facing towards you, that is a nightly reminder that the British Empire used to be nearly twice as large as that. It was the empire on which the sun never set, because somewhere in the empire the sun was always shining. But indeed it had to set at some point. The last British colony in Africa gained independence in 1980, and the major city of Hong Kong, a British colony since 1898, was given back to China in 1997, symbolically marking the end of the empire. But what if this entire empire was suddenly recreated today? Wait
a second. So yeah, India, Australia, lots of African countries, Canada, but no United States? Why? I mean, just like India, United States was also under Britain, obviously. They gained independence, so why not consider United States in this too?
Exactly what it looked like. Well, for starters, Queen Elizabeth II is already in real life queen of these 16 different countries right now, and
What? Wait, he just says 16. Where's 16? I see one Canada. Isn't this all Canada? I'm pretty sure it is. UK, that's Australia, and that's, yeah, one other. I guess New Zealand too. That's 4. Where's 16? Yeah, it's right, isn't it? I mean, Canada is part of the British Commonwealth right now. So yeah, they're Canada's queen is British queen. Do they say God save the queen too in Canada? Huh.
She has been at some point queen of these other 17 countries as well. In total, the British Empire Reunited Today would encompass 64 different countries, and Queen Elizabeth II has already been queen of more than half of those countries at some point during her lifetime. The empire would be 146 times larger than the current United Kingdom and contain 40 times greater a population. 1/4 of the planet's land area would belong to the empire, and with an enormous population of 2.634 billion people, that would mean that around 37% of everybody on Earth would be a citizen of the empire. A far greater percentage of the world population than in 1921 with the same territory. With all of this land and people,
But that's not really fair, is it? I mean, places like India and around it, population just grows ridiculously nowadays. Obviously, the number's going to be high. India alone basically, has the major numbers in that all population range of this all British colonies.
The British Empire would have a GDP of 13.078 trillion US dollars, which would put it far behind the United States and place the empire with the second largest economy.
Oh, what the fuck? So let me get this straight. Quarter of the world with this gigantic empire, this many countries, half of Africa, entire India, and around places like Pakistan, Bangladesh, Australia, Canada, obviously Britain themselves. Even they cannot touch USA, and not just by some small margin, by $5 trillion. This is what pisses me off. That in USA people bitches about minimum wages and lots of things like we don't have enough money. Man, you're ridiculously rich. Look at that. If you have money problems, then your government sucks, I guess. Stop putting so much money into the military and things like that, unnecessary defense money. Look at that, man. This is not even funny, man. Look at that. I mean, this should have, British should have beaten that number if all this colony is considered. But no, not even beaten. They are trailing behind with 5 trillion. This is ridiculous. It's like 30% difference. USA is ridiculously rich, man. Look at that.
Globally. However, the empire would have an incredibly poor population on average, with the average citizen earning just $4,966 per year, slightly more impoverished than modern-day Namibia. To compensate for this, the British Empire would have the largest military in the world, comprised of 4,917,000 active-duty soldiers. The Empire's military budget would be a very large $268.175 billion.
Not close to the United States, though.
The
half a
second
trillion.
highest budget in the world, but less than half still of the US military budget. Overall, the British...
Gone up? Last time I checked, it was half a trillion, something like 490 something. Now it's 597. I guess Trump, pushed the budget up as soon as he arrived.
Empire would likely be the second strongest country in the world today, behind only the United States. But how would it compare to other empires that we've covered in this series? Here is a chart to show you. The British Empire would have a higher population than both the Roman and Mongol empires.
Yeah, that's about GDP, 17 trillion GDP by Mongols. Oh, I guess he's adjusting for, current money. Like if Mongols empire existed today, how much money they would have. Not at the time, because that would be ridiculous. Look at that. I mean, yeah, Mongols were really powerful. Romans, I can understand the way they ran their cities, and basically was the, main origin where people take lots of things from Roman Empire and even carry over today. So Roman Empire was just, that was really peak at the time. So Roman Empire, I can understand. But look at the Mongols, man. They dominated most of the world. And it was not some simple barbaric just killing everybody and just taking things over. They all really had resources. Look at that. Even they had military sizes and they had money. So yeah.
Empires, but have a smaller economy than both, a poorer population than both, and the Mongol military would be significantly larger. The biggest city in the British Empire would be Karachi in Pakistan, and with the exception of Lagos in Nigeria, the top 5 biggest cities would all be located on the Indian subcontinent. In fact, 9 out of the top 10 biggest cities would all be located in either Asia or Africa.
How is he saying biggest city, as in population wise or overall city size wise? Or, would be both, because Karachi, isn't London bigger than all of them, just land and size of the city wise, or it's not? I'm pretty sure it's going with, population wise, I don't know.
The only one that wouldn't is London, which would be the 7th largest city in the empire. Despite this, London would likely become the capital of the whole empire, since it was the historical capital of the British Empire. In addition, English would have to be the official language of the empire, despite the fact that it would only be the native language of only 5% of the population. It would, however, be understood as a secondary language by 17% of the population, as English is an official language already in 40...
Yeah, I mean, secondary language, if it's a British Empire, I'm pretty sure secondary language would be more than just 12%. I mean, entire world already recognize English as the main international language. Doesn't matter what your native language is, second languages or whatever, you need to learn English if you want to conduct any business internationally. I mean, regardless if you're living in China or anywhere, you need to speak English. So English basically is one of the languages for everybody in the world. I mean, look at me, I'm Indian. I'm speaking English right now.
49 out of the 64 countries that are making up the empire. Hindi would be the single largest language spoken by 20% of the population, while Bengali and Urdu would constitute significant languages as well. The empire would be incredibly ethnically and religiously diverse, with only 5% of the population being classified as white, while 69% would be Asian or Pacific Islander, with the population of India alone accounting for almost half of the entire empire. African and Afro-Caribbean ethnicities would account for 19% of the total, while Arabs and other Middle Eastern ethnic groups would contribute the remaining 7%. The United Kingdom itself would only contribute 2.4% of the entire empire's population. And finally, the religious diversity of the empire would be just as great, if not even greater, with Hinduism representing the largest single faith at 40% of the total population, Islam at 33%, divided between 32% Sunni and 1% Shia, Christianity at 19%, split between 12.6% Protestants, 6% Catholics, and 0.4% Orthodox. Meanwhile, Buddhism would represent 3%, Sikhs at 0.8%, Jews at 0.2%, other religions at 2%, and atheists or non-believers would account for the final 2% of the population.
That is surprising.
Interestingly, if you also
What, Canada, Australia, Britain combined only have 2% atheists? Damn.
added the original 13 American colonies from
There
the
you
United
go.
States back into the empire, that would single-handedly raise the GDP of the empire up by over $6 trillion,
Yeah.
equal to 47% of the entire empire's GDP before adding the colonies. If this happened, the 13 colonies would undoubtedly become the most valuable possession of the British Empire. The only
That's it.
question is, would the United States allow this to happen? So thank you so much for watching this video.
The last thing was damn funny right there. Would United States allow this to happen? Yeah, would United States allow its eastern shores to go to Britain? Yeah. Let's just say anybody in Britain as soon as speak that we want eastern shores of United States, lots of bomb would fall in entire Britain and flatten it. United States would not give even a small city to Britain, let alone eastern shore. So yeah, this is, I mean, most of the population comes from India and places around like Pakistan, Bangladesh, India combined. That's 1.7 billion right there. Because I know Canada only has 30 or 40 million population. I was surprised when I learned it just a few weeks ago. Australia also has 20, 30 million. You know, Britain has good enough. I mean, not that high, but good enough. So yeah, most of the population would come around India. And lots of other major portion would be from Africa and other places then. So yeah. What if the British Empire reunited today? Well, it still wouldn't beat United States. That's scary. It's scary how powerful United States is. It's scary how much money they have. And it's scary people are still like, we don't have enough money for Medicare and things like that. Like, damn. Alright people, if you like my reaction, don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out other reactions today. There's a link in the description. Check out the cards for the playlist. And yeah, I'll see you next time.